Morning here on AM 1160 WCCS 101.1 FM. Pastor Kathy Mihoerck is with us from Grace United Methodist Church. They always do such a wonderful job on Christmas Eve. Their services are tremendous. But Pastor Kathy, we're here today to talk about a service that comes before that. Tomorrow night is the longest night service, and it has a decidedly different focus, doesn't it?
It does. It's one of my favorite services, Todd. There's a lot of people that go through the holiday seasons, and the most wonderful season of the year is not quite the most wonderful season of the year for them. Mm-hmm. Could be a loss of a job, could be a divorce, it could be death of a loved one, it could be health concerns. And so they go through the holidays putting that happy face on, and yet inside they're very sad. This service allows them to be able to identify that, to be able to find the hope that only Christ can give them.
Yeah, burying it doesn't really work, does it?
Burying doesn't work, although that's typically what we do, especially at the Christmas season.
Yeah. So the service is tomorrow night. It's on December 21st for a purpose.
Correct. It's the longest night of the year, literally. It's the winter solace, and so that's why I call it the longest night service, because it is the longest night of the year. It's the night that just seems to never end.
Yeah, and symbolically then it really works with this particular theme, because people seem, depending upon who the person is and what they are experiencing, for them it just seems as if they can't climb up out of a hole that they find themselves in.
Yeah.
And this offers hope.
It does offer hope. It offers the light of Christ. It offers God's peace and His grace and His mercy. And it allows them to be able to cry when other people don't want them to cry at this time. It allows them to just be.
The service is tomorrow night. It's at Grace United Methodist Church.
Correct.
At what time?
7 p.m.
Okay.
In the main sanctuary. And we'll be lighting candles, and we'll be singing. Actually, they won't be singing. I'll have some songs to give them a little bit of comfort in the midst of their circumstances, and to give them the opportunity to just, like I said before, just be.
Yeah. Yeah. So formatically, for them to, I refer to them as a them, and I think that's probably not correct or not the best way, because they are, each them is made up of people, individual people, and individuals suffer in different ways, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Like I said, some of the people, it's going through life. I mean, life is challenging. It's difficult. Even everyone that everything seems to be going just fine, there's typically something in their life that's just a little bit off sometimes. And that just gives you the opportunity to be able to say, it's okay to be sad in the midst of the holiday. God understands that. And He walks that journey with you. He promises never to leave you or forsake you, but to walk the journey with you. And this service gives them that hope that He is still there. He hasn't forgotten about them. He hasn't left them. He walks the journey with them.
Has Grace United Methodist Church done this in the past? I know they've done it at least last year. How long?
I've been doing it. This is a service that I took on several years ago. I'd say we've been doing it for at least 5 years. And each year the service grows, and each year I see a lot of the same people that I saw last year, because they just felt good about the service, and it just gave them that peace. And I started doing it because I myself had lost my husband in 2001, and I was invited to they called it a Blue Christmas. I didn't like that because that made me feel even more sad. But I went to the service, and I found that hope that I want to give to those that come to our service.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to ask you is, do for want of a better term, do graduates show up at this event? Folks who have been through this and maybe have started or have climbed all the way out of the hole in which they find themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And what I have found, Todd, which is really exciting, is that they not only come to the service, but they bring their friends and their families that recognize that they're at the place that they may have been several years ago, and now they can offer that hope to their loved ones. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, and that was going to be something else I wanted to ask was how much of what they bring to the service is the idea of fellowshipping with people who are suffering right now, what they have been through themselves.
Yeah, and I have my Stephen Ministry team at our church. Stephen Ministers are people that have gone through 50 hours of training to walk alongside of other people that are going through difficult times. And my Stephen Ministers are on hand that night to pray with if someone needs prayer, to anoint, to talk to, and to also help to walk that journey with them.
Certainly the goal of the program is not to deepen somebody's feelings of
no.
sadness, but it is to bring them to the light, as you say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wonderful. We talk about the light shining brightest in the darkest of times, and the longest night seems to accentuate that.
It does.
Yeah. So you, through the years, have been to a number of services and conducted now a number of services such as this, and the success stories are wonderful, but there are also stories, and I know you know this, of people who still find it so very, very difficult to get through. And time has to enter into that consideration, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And everyone grieves in their own time. And I guess the thing that I'd like to tell the listeners today is it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's not okay to stay stuck. God wants you to move beyond that. He tells us in the scriptures, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future, and our hope is in Jesus Christ.
With the winter solstice happening and longest night being the natural thing that comes in association with that, and this program therefore associated with that, it also is very, very close to Christmas Day. And that feeling, we have talked, we've had various studies of how Christmas Day and seeing others being joyful with the season can actually cause folks who are suffering to suffer even more. The point, though, being that it doesn't have to be that way. It may be that way for you now, but it doesn't have to be that way, and I'm sure that's the focus tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, and the point of the service truly is to allow those people that are challenged right now with the circumstances that they're in to have a place to go where it is okay to cry, and yet laugh at the same time. And it's not anything that I do. It's all what Christ does through me to give them that hope. And it is really challenging. I know. I've been there. I've walked the journey. So it's really challenging whenever everyone else around you is happy and you're just not so happy. And yet, like I said before, staying stuck there is not God's best for you.
Yeah. Wonderful. So shining the light on the longest, darkest of nights.
Amen.
The service tomorrow night at Grace United Methodist. Again, for folks who missed it, the time for the service?
Tomorrow evening, the 21st of December at 7 p.m. at Grace United Methodist Church, the corner of 7th and Church Street.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming in to tell us about it.
Thank you.
We appreciate so much the ministry of Grace United Methodist Church and our entire faith community, because we've got so many wonderful churches working together for the spiritual well-being of folks. And once you get the spirit up and walking on that plane, then, not spirit, well, that tends to be reduced.
Yeah,
and greatly so. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pastor Kathy Mihoerck, Grace United Methodist Church and the longest night service coming tomorrow night. It is Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank, WCCS AM 1160 and FM 101.1.